This is Mayor Oliver Gilbert, and we've gone virtual. While we're staying at home, remaining safe, I want to make sure that the activities that we enjoy together as a community could be brought to you online. Join me for healthy cooking and nutrition with Common Threads. Let's cook and stay healthy together. Bon appetit.
Hi, everyone. I am Chef Karen. I am standing in today for Chef Mimi. I'm really glad to be here with Mayor Gilbert and his virtual experience. I am a chef instructor with Common Threads. Those of you who don't know, Common Threads is a national nonprofit, and we come into the communities. We teach classes to kids and to families about healthy eating and nutrition and healthy lifestyles, and that's what I want to do with you today. I want to work with you on a little recipe, easy stuff, something that you guys can do in the kitchen with your families, with your kids. If you get your kids cooking, they are more likely to eat what they have made. So we're gonna make an easy salad today. We're gonna make an Italian salad with a real simple vinaigrette. And what's nice about this salad is it's just a launching point. I'm gonna give you the ingredients, but whatever you've got in your pantry, in your refrigerator, that's what you can be using. So, okay, so we're gonna get started now. So first of all, I'm going to be using an iceberg lettuce. This is a real easy introduction for your families who are not big into leafy greens. We're going to use some romaine lettuce. We're going to use something that's a little bit unusual. We're going to use radicchio. Radicchio looks like a little bit like a red cabbage, but it's not actually a cabbage. It's from the chicory family, and it's actually called Italian chicory, which is going to make this my Italian salad. I'm going to use some red onion, and some celery. And that's basically it. Like I said, it's a starting point for whatever you want in your salad. Okay, so let's get started. All right, I'll tilt this down so you guys can see what I'm doing a little better. So first of all, kind of something that's kind of fun to do with your family, and I did this early. This is a head of iceberg. Now, iceberg is it's not a real dark leafy green. You want to go for those dark leafy greens. Leafy greens are rock stars when it comes to nutrition. They are packed with vitamins A, C, K, and potassium. And what's really awesome about them is that they are very, very low in calories. So you can load up on them. They have great nutritional value without a lot of calories. So this is a head of iceberg lettuce. And what's kind of cool to do with it, and it's really fun for the kids to do, is if you give it a good smack on the counter, then the core will come right out. I did this earlier because after I took the core out, I poured water through here, let it work through, and then I let it drain in my sink upside down so that all the water would come out. It's really, really important that you wash your leafy greens well. And then we have romaine lettuce. Romaine lettuce, all you have to do with this is take it, give it a good twist, and you get the core, you get your leaves that you want. Again, must rinse them out because since these are so loose, you get as a matter of fact, on this one, I had a ladybug earlier. I had to go take it outside. But you might get an insect, you might get some dirt, but they really need a good rinsing in the sink. So I've already done that. I've rinsed my iceberg, I've rinsed my romaine, and I cut my radicchio in half, and I rinsed that a little bit. So radicchio is beautiful. And again, like I said, it's part of the chicory family. It's Italian chicory. So chicory can be used in a lot of Italian dishes. You can grill with this. You can put in a salad. It can be cooked into pastas, into soups. It has a little bit of a more bitter taste, but it's a good introduction for your family into more of the leafy greens, more so than the iceberg. And the romaine is a step up, but the chicory is a really good step. It's a little bitter, a little spicy, but we're going to slice it really thin, so it's a good addition to our salad. Okay, so let's get started. So first I'm going to take my head of iceberg, and I'm going to take off the outer leaves because we don't want them if they look, a little questionable, a little brown. And I'm going to just take this and I'm going to cut it in half. Now, I have a good sharp knife here. I know a lot of people are afraid of knives. The sharper your knife, the safer it is. A dull knife is the first thing that is going to make you slip, make you get a cut. So I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'm going to take my head of iceberg, and I'm going to use my bear claw. My bear claw is bending my fingers so that my fingers are not anywhere near the knife or the blade. I've got a good grip on my blade. I've got my forefinger and my thumb on either side of the blade, and I'm going to keep the tip of my knife on the cutting board. This is going to save the blade of my knife. There's no reason to ever be hacking away at your food. So you want to just do a nice lower and lift right through your lettuce. And you need a fairly large knife to do this so that it fits all the way through the vegetables that you're cutting. If you're using a tiny little knife, of course, it's not going to fit. So nice slices. Now, one thing is, try not to crowd yourself on a cutting board. You can move it aside. I'm going to take half of this right now. I'm going to move it aside. Give yourselves plenty of room on the cutting board. Now I've done slices. Again, I turned it, and now I'm going to go the opposite way. Now, you can do this also just by tearing your lettuce, which makes it a lot safer for your kids if you have small kids and you don't want them to be using a big knife. I'm going to take my bowl, and I'm going to add my first quarter of my iceberg lettuce because I had already cut it in half. And now I'm going to take the portion that I already sliced up, put it back on my cutting board so that I have plenty of room, and I'll go through this one the opposite direction again so that it's chopped. Now, a lot of times we hear that you should not cut lettuce, and if you're doing it and preparing it for hours out in the distance, for much later in your day, it is better. It releases some oxalate, and that can give it a metallic taste, but it really is okay to go ahead and cut your lettuce. Okay, so we have the iceberg already in there, and now I'm going to take my leaves of romaine and do the same thing. This is a whole head of romaine. I used half a head of iceberg. Now I'm using a whole head of romaine. Okay, I think I'm going to do half at a time. So again, I'm not going to crowd my cutting board too much. Wipe off my knife a little. Now, when I work in the schools, I tell the kids, do your bear claw because chef does not like fingers in food. And they think it's very funny, but actually it's really true. So putting your fingers in a nice tight claw like that, even if the knife comes close to it, it's just going to rub up against your fingers. So that's our romaine that we're going to add to our salad. I'm making a bit of a mess here, but that's okay. And then I will take the remainder of my romaine. Now, if you have any bad spots on your lettuce, take them out. Just cut them away, remove them. It's not a big deal. See how my knife is not leaving the cutting board? This is actually called the tip and fulcrum method because the fulcrum is like on a teeter-totter, and it makes it go back and forth, but that's just a safe way to use your knife so it doesn't leave your cutting board. Okay, so now we have our iceberg and our romaine together in the bowl. Okay, so the next step is going to be using our radicchio, and we are going to be using 1/4 of a radicchio. So I already cut it in half. See how the beautiful layers in there? It's really a very pretty vegetable. I'm going to take it and I'm going to quarter it. Okay, so it's got these lovely layers in there. It looks very much like a cabbage, but like I said, it's from the chicory family, and it's often called Italian chicory for Italian salad. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the end there, and now I'm just going to do it. I always want to put it on a flat surface. If something rolls around, and I'll show you this with my onion in a minute, it doesn't give you a stable surface to cut, so you want to have a flat surface to cut on. And I'm going to take out this outer leaf because it doesn't look so wonderful. And I'm going to do this in a nice thin slice. Again, I'm going to use my bear claw. I have my cutting board, my knife on my cutting board. Just do some nice, easy slices. Kids always like to say, oh, chef, can you cut it real fast? And cutting real fast is when you have accidents, when hands get cut, when fingers get cut. A nice slow cut is the best method for doing this. Okay, so now we have our sliced chicory, and it gives a beautiful color to our salad. Okay, so we're just going to sprinkle that in there. If you like more, if you're more adventurous and you want to do more chicory, you can add more. That's the best part about making your salads at home and making your dressing, which we're going to do in a few minutes, is that it becomes yours and you can work with it to what you like and what your family likes. Okay, so we've got our lettuces in there. I'm going to wipe off my cutting board a little bit, and we're going to go to our onion. So this is it calls for a small onion. This is a relatively large, not huge, but not a tiny little onion. You've got the root end and you've got the top here. So I'm going to take my onion. This is called the bridge. And I'm doing this so that it doesn't roll around. It keeps my hand safe. I could do it with a bear claw, but I'm going to do a bridge over the top of the onion to cut through. We have 3 stages that we use for cutting. It's plank, which I've just done, and then we have slice and dice. Okay, now an onion has a lot of layers that you don't want. So the first thing you want to do is cut off the end. We're going to get rid of that. And then you want to peel back the layers of the onion. Okay? So I'm going to peel these back. Don't be afraid to peel them back. You've got plenty of onion layers underneath. There's my first layer. I don't really love the way the second layer looks. So I'm going to peel that back as well. Okay. Now, onions can be a little tough sometimes. They can have a lot of bite to them. One of the tricks that I like with onions is you can take them and you take a bowl of ice water, and after you have cut them up, let them sit in that ice water for about 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes. Swirl them around a little, and that will remove some of the bite from the red onion. That's just a nice tip if you don't like it, or if you notice that you have a really strong onion. So again, I did my plank, so now I'm going to do my slice. If I had it back here, it's going to roll around a little, which we certainly do not want. So I've got it on my flat side. I've got my bear claw. I'm going to just run my knife slowly through it and make nice, thin slices of my red onion. And if you find that those pieces are too big for you, if you find that your family doesn't like that, take them and cut them in half. You want to then take your onion and separate it. You want to separate it and sprinkle it around your salad, because nobody wants a huge bite of salad. Like I said, if you find that onions are a little strong for you, cut back on them. And you can also let them soak. Just let them soak in the ice water, and that will remove some of that bite, some of the stuff that's tough about it. So we're going to put our onions in with our salad. Now, I have a piece of chicken that I grilled last night. It's getting so hot that I like to have, if I'm grilling, I try to grill a little extra, whether it's meat or fish or chicken, and then use it for a salad the next day. I have 1 piece of chicken, but 1 piece of chicken will go a long way in this salad. I'll show you that in a minute. If you don't want to use animal protein like that, if you want to use beans or anything that you have in your refrigerator, whatever you've got, that can work in your salad. You can use fish, you can use shrimp, boiled, grilled, sauteed, whatever you want can work in your salad. So I'm going to work with a piece of chicken today. If you want to keep it vegetarian, you can use, or vegan, you can use tofu. If you want to just have it vegetarian, you can use eggs, you can use cheese. That's the great point, that this is just a jumping off point. It's a real simple salad just to get you started. Okay, so right now we have our red onion, we have our lettuce, we have the iceberg, we have the romaine, and we have our radicchio. So the last vegetable that's going in is celery. Now, I happen to love to chop. I find chopping to be very relaxing. So again, I'm going to use my bear claw, and I'm going to push this piece of celery through. I've already cut off the end, and I washed it. You always have to wash your celery really well. Celery has a large water content, so again, it doesn't have a lot of added calories to it. So again, just slowly run your knife through, and I'm pushing ever so gently with my bear claw hand. My knife is not moving other than up and down. I'm not pushing that along the vegetable, along the stalk of celery. The stalk of celery is working through the knife. And to me, this is, like I said, extremely relaxing to chop vegetables. I have a food processor, which I used to use, and I don't go all the way to the end. I really find it very relaxing to chop vegetables. So this is another layer of flavor in your salad. What you want to do with salads is keep them interesting, keep them colorful, have lots of different textures. Maybe you add some nuts to your salad. If you add nuts, one of the things that I really like to do is toast my nuts. I'll take pecans, I'll take walnuts, I take pine nuts, and you can either do them in a dry saute pan, or you can put them in a pan in your oven or in your toaster oven. You must watch them really closely though. They have such a high oil content that they will burn really quickly, but your house will smell delicious when you toast any nuts, and it's a great snack, and it will really add another dimension to your salad. So again, that's another thing that you can add to your salad to make it personalized. Just go through your pantry, see what you've got, see what your family likes, and the different layers of flavor and the way that it presents. We always eat with our eyes first, makes it a more interesting meal. Okay, so we have our salad now pretty much ready. We have our romaine, iceberg, radicchio, red onions, and our celery all in our bowl. So what we need to do next is we need to make a salad dressing. So I'm going to clear away my cutting board for just a moment, because I am going to cut up some chicken at the end before we're done. So we're going to make a dressing. This again is a launching point. Our dressing is going to have red wine vinegar. Now you can use, usually a salad dressing, a vinaigrette is made with 1 part acid, such as red wine vinegar, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, lime juice, orange juice, any type of acid that you like. And then you do 1 part of the acid to 2 parts of an oil. I'm going to be using olive oil. You can use any kind of oil. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil, grapeseed oil, any types of oils that you have that you like that work for you. We're going to do we're going to add some garlic powder for seasoning. You could use fresh garlic. It's up to you. I'm going to add a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese, already grated. You can do it yourself if you want. You can omit it, whatever you like. A little bit of sugar. Again, if you don't like the sugar in it, leave it out. Use honey, use agave, whatever you like. Then just a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. Okay, so we're going to get started. So the point of a salad dressing is that you want to combine your ingredients. Now, oil and vinegar are two liquids that usually do not combine well. So we're going to do something called emulsifying. Emulsifying is making 2 liquids that do not usually join actually combine. So, okay, we're going to get started. So for our vinaigrette, we're going to use 1½ teaspoons of red wine vinegar. Now, I have a teaspoon like this, but vinegar is obviously a liquid, and liquids, we use a liquid measuring cup, okay? When I measure my sugar or my Parmesan cheese, I'm going to use a dry measure. So 1½ teaspoons. Now I'm going to get down at eye level with my measuring cup, because if I'm looking from above, I don't know how much is in there. If I look there, I can't see the markings on the side of my measuring cup. So I've got 1½ teaspoons of red wine vinegar. Oops, that goes on there. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese. Now, when you're cooking, per se, rather than baking, your measuring does not need to be exact. If you're baking, baking is chemistry, and baking, your measurements need to be exact. So I've got 1 tablespoon, just about. I mean, if I was measuring flour for baking, I would actually level it off with a knife. But we're not baking, we're cooking, we're making a salad dressing. So it doesn't matter, and you can adjust it to your taste. So we've got 1 tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese. Now I'm going to use 1/2 of a teaspoon of sugar. Now, if you don't like sweetness in your salad dressing, omit it. If you prefer to use honey or agave nectar, absolutely, by all means, replace what you like in it. Okay, so we have 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Now, I'm just going to use some few twists of my pepper mill to get some fresh cracked pepper in there. That should be good. Now, we're going to add the olive oil. Now, the olive oil, to emulsify, has to be poured in really slowly. And while I'm pouring it in, I'm going to be using a whisk. Now, you could do this with a spoon or a fork, but it's easier to get something to emulsify if you pour it in with a whisk. So, and it calls for 1/4 cup of olive oil. So again, I'm going to get down to eye level. And I'm going to measure 1/4 of a cup. Okay. Now, while I'm pouring this in, I'm going to be quickly whisking so that our ingredients will emulsify. See how slowly I do that so it gives them a chance to combine. Another great way to emulsify dressings is by adding mustard, any type of mustard, whether it's Dijon, a spicy mustard, or just a yellow mustard. But a mustard is a great emulsifier in a dressing. Okay, so I'll take that, I'll give it a good whisk to get all those ingredients combined and emulsified. If you just dump it in quickly, very often it will not emulsify. And that's the dressing. Like I said, if you don't want to use red wine vinegar, maybe you want to do more of an Asian feel, rice wine vinegar, lemon juice, lime juice, any type of acid will work. Okay, so we have our salad ready. We have our dressing ready. So now the last thing for me to do is get my protein ready. Now, if you want to use, like I'm using a piece of grilled chicken, as I said, you could use fish, you could use shrimp, you can use anything. You could totally not have a protein in it at all. You could use eggs, cheese, anything you want. So I have just a piece of grilled chicken that I grilled last night. I had made another dish, but I kept a piece aside so that I could have this on my salad. So I'm going to take my piece of grilled chicken, put it on my cutting board, wipe off my knife, and all I'm going to do is make some nice, small, thin slices. Little bit of chicken goes a long way. Makes for a nice presentation. We do eat with our eyes first, so you always want to, I didn't do a great job of cutting that. My chicken is falling apart a little bit. It was in the refrigerator. If you want, you can chop it, whatever you want. Okay, so I have my chicken. So now it's time to assemble our salad. Now, one of the things, make it attractive to look at. So I've got my salad. Now you could toss the whole thing. Do not overdress your salad. You can always add more dressing later, but it's better to start slow or let everybody dress their salad separately. So I've got my salad. I'll give it a little bit of toss to make sure that I get all of the ingredients well combined. And then I'm going to plate them. I used a nice blue plate here to give just totally different color than the colors that we have in our salad. Okay, so we've got our salad. Then we take our dressing, give it another quick whisk, get everything re-emulsified. It will separate, even if it has emulsified, it will separate, but it will easily recombine. And I'm just going to take it and very lightly drizzle it over the top of my salad. Like I said, go with less. You can always add more, but it's difficult to take it away. Okay? Then I'm going to take some of my slices of chicken, and I'm going to neatly lay this out on top of our salad. Make a beautiful presentation so that everybody is eager to eat it. Now, if you really want to get fancy, we are working with an Italian salad. I've got a wedge of Parmesan cheese here, and if you want to get fancy, you can use a vegetable peeler. Just do take your vegetable peeler, peel a few slices of, a few little shavings of Parmesan cheese. Then you've got a real Italian salad. Okay? You can do that with any kind of cheeses, guys. You can use cheddar cheese, anything you have in your house, goat cheese, feta cheese, whatever you like. Make it your salad. It doesn't have, this is, like I said, this is a launching point. This is a beginning point. This is an Italian salad. It's only an Italian salad because we used Italian ingredients per se, the Italian chicory, which is the radicchio, and we made a vinaigrette with red wine vinegar, but it can be any kind of salad. The point is that get those leafy greens in. The leafy greens, you want to try to get 2 to 2.5 cups a day, and you will get very few calories with that, and you're getting all that nutritional boost from those leafy vegetables. Plus, they're very filling, and you may not want to. I mean, we use one chicken breast and sliced it up here that it goes a long way. Making your own dressing. Making your own dressing gives you the control, of the ingredients. It's less expensive, and you know exactly what's going into it. There are no preservatives. If you can control your ingredients. If you do, I did not put any salt in here because there is a salt content in the Parmesan cheese, but you have the control. Homemade dressings will last in your refrigerator about a week. If you use if I had used fresh garlic rather than the powdered garlic, maybe a little less time. But other than that, you've got it. It's easy to make at home. It's less expensive, and it becomes your own. So those are my suggestions. I hope you enjoyed our cooking and that you make your own salads and you get that nutritional punch that you get from the leafy greens, and cook with your families and enjoy. Thanks, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed today's session. I did. Join us every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live for healthy cooking and nutrition classes with common threads. If you want to view the session again, visit cmgengage.com/virtual. See you next week. Now tell me, do you really think you can walk